Hey guys, good afternoon and welcome to episode 37 of At the Coffee Table podcast. My name is Jason Klink, your host, and I bring you this podcast just about every week where we pull up a chair to the virtual coffee table. We talk about anything and everything and hopefully come up with a solution or two. This week, I am blessed with the presence of my neighbor, my partner, and my REALA, Hue Hanks. Hugh recently got into the real estate business with Next Home. He's also a financial advisor and a brand new mortgage loan originator. But we wanted to do this podcast here today to talk about, how current events are affecting the financial markets and real estate markets and what it looks like going forward into 2021. I don't know about Hugh, but I've had a ton of questions about real estate and what it looks like for next year. And Hugh and I have had a couple of text message conversations. To go along with this episode of the podcast, we got our Cocktail Friday happy hour because you know what, it is Friday, so why not? Hugh, thanks for joining me here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Cheers. So I know you and I were kind of texting back and forth the other day because I found it interesting, to say the least, how like my stocks were. They said, that there was going to be a vaccine, so the stocks took off like a rocket. And then 2 days later, it's going to be a while for the vaccine. And by the way, the COVID cases are sky high, and it fell off a cliff in one day. Now, I did notice today they're a little bit better because of some of the financial news. But you and I were discussing how, all these factors playing into the numbers, so to say, in the numbers game. And you had said, besides the whole presidency holdup and COVID and everything else, that's all playing the factors. So I guess, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so the market, when you're looking at the market, you're looking at buyers and sellers. Buyers and sellers, they make up the market just like real estate. So if buyers are happy and thrilled about what's going on, they're just buying up stocks left and right. So with that being said, the prices start to go up. But when sellers aren't too happy and they feel like the future isn't too promising,
right,
that's when they start selling off, and that's when you see market drop. So when it gets to a certain number of people just being like, I'm not sure that our future is looking bright today, they're just going to start selling off, and that's when the stocks really dive. So they take everything into account, whether it be the climate, whether it be COVID, whether it be our elections, or anything new that just came out.
Yeah. And, I look at it. I mean, money's always fluid. Assets are fluid. We know that. It's all about how you move it around. And, I took some tips earlier this year because I wanted to invest more. And, it's the whole buy low, sell high concept. I mean, that's not rocket science. So a lot of the stuff was low. A lot of like the airline stock was low. The resort hospitality stocks were low. You had talked about the COVID stocks, so to say, as far as you said, what, Target, Walmart, Netflix,
Costco, and then like the Netflix.
I tell you what, I wish I knew. I wish in January I knew to buy Zoom stock.
Zoom, we talked about Zoom, yes.
That would have been ideal in January to buy Zoom stock because you'd be sitting pretty sweet. Now, I saw the other day that the tech stocks were doing well and some of the other, and then the financial outlook for the travel and hospitality industry didn't look good, so they dropped a bit. And then I think about, what I did see the other day too is I've always considered real estate stocks, cheap.
Yes.
And I seen that the other day that like there was a suggestion to buy real estate stock. And I'm like, what, really? But if you think about it, we know from our business, real estate's been solid.
Solid.
this entire year. Absolutely solid. And, those companies like EXP and other ones that are public, they've done pretty well this year because real estate has been solid.
I agree. And the construction that goes with the real estate stocks, they've been booming as well.
Yeah. It's interesting to say at least. And then you think about how this whole current environment has affected or not affected real estate. But I think it's affecting real estate here is just recently, because we came out of COVID, we came out of the lockdowns, we hit May, and this is before you got in the business, and it took off like a rocket ship. And it's been like that all summer. And just recently in the last month, we've hit this typical fall plateau, is like I like to call it. But I also think there's some uncertainty there. Now, don't get me wrong. I still, from everything I've read and watched, that our market, especially the local market, is going to stay this way into the beginning of next year with the lower mortgage rates, high buyers, no inventory, and higher home values. But it almost seems like there's some hesitation in the last few weeks based on who knows who's going to be president, other than the fact that Joe Biden's, supposedly won the election. But there's all these uncertainties. And COVID's sky high now. So now we're back to, do people really want other people in their homes,
Yeah. And when I think about the bigger picture, I think about, there is a whole bunch of uncertainty, and there's precautions to having people into your homes and being next to people during this COVID outbreak.
right?
But it's given us some time to improve on us as salespeople. So it's like, what else can we do to bring people closer to the market or closer to purchasing?
Right.
What can we do better? What can we do to enhance their support and them leaning on us?
Right.
So this is the time to do that. So we have to introduce more and better education for those potential buyers.
Yeah, it's so with all the stuff that's going on and whatever's going on in DC, whatever went on with the election, really, I mean, it plays a factor in our lives, but down on the micro level, when it comes to business, other than the businesses that are being shut down, but on the micro level, that all that drama and all that craziness really is very little factors in our personal lives. On the macro level, in the grand scheme of things, sure. So like you said, how can we enhance people's experience? How can we encourage our customers, our clients, investors and so on, to stay the line and prepare themselves for whatever they might, if they're buying a home, selling a home, buying stocks, selling stocks, whatever. And I think it just comes down to just sharing information and human to human.
Yeah.
Caring,
I agree. Because the more I say this all the time with my wife, the more conversations that we are able to have with each other, that's when that ingenuity and better ideas start coming up. Like there's a conversation that you and I had. It's like, wow, I didn't think about that earlier in the day.
Right.
But because we had a conversation,
right,
it ended up arising.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something about saying, there's something about, having that collective thought process and the masterminds and stuff like that. And I think that even with everything that's gone on this year, because 2020 by any stretch of the imagination has been a bear, but if it wasn't for the lockdown period in March and April, that I may or may not have gotten this podcast off the ground.
Yeah, right.
Home and we had the time and we were trying to figure out a way to provide as much value and share as much information. It was the opportune time to start this podcast and tell you what, I've had a blast ever since. So, and that's why I try to do it, at least once a week. with different people and to get those different perspectives. So, and I think for you, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but for you, you really got a lot of achievement out of this year between, getting your real estate license and starting your real estate business and promoting your financial advising and so on. There's been a lot of light and a lot of darkness at the same time.
I agree. You've helped me a lot. Just showing up and doing things consistently every single day without fail. So just seeing you do stuff like that encourages me to keep going and do the same, and then pick your brain here and there. So there's a if like you said, if it wasn't for the lockdown, I wouldn't have jumped into real estate. I wouldn't have had time to showcase me. I would have just been doing my 9 to 5 or 9 to 12 or whatever it is. I would have just been doing that. But now I see the potential and I see the need and the hunger because I want more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, you get bit by that bug, that entrepreneurial bug, and you just want, and I have a difficult time sometimes, because patience is not my virtue. And I want to speed up the clock and speed up the gears and get results and hurry up and get to the goals. Because it's like you get to that goal and then you want the next goal and then you want the next goal. That's the way it's been for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my challenge. Patience is my challenge.
But it all makes sense, and it all feels great when you do get to that goal. I consider it like whack-a-mole. So if you have 10 goals on your head,
yep,
and you have a mallet, and then you knock down that one, it's going to take some time. You still have 9 around you, but as soon as you get one down, you get the next one and the next one.
Yep.
I guarantee better ideas and better methods come from knocking down those goals left and right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
One by one.
Yep. I think, and this is really the time of year where that cranks up. And you and I talked about this, and I had conversations with our other partners and at Next Home too. Is now is the time of year to you ramp up your goal planning, your business planning, and figuring out your numbers and getting. And I think that goes along the lines for our customers and clients too. Is now is a good time to make that plan for the beginning of next year. It's you have conversations with other colleagues in the business, and you ask them, what was your numbers from this year? What did you hit your goals? And a lot of times you get, I don't know. And it's like, come on, that's the only way to pour the gas on the fire is to have that plan and to know those numbers.
You're right. This is the time.
Yep.
It's November right now.
Yeah. I think, those that wait to do planning till mid-December, they're losing out. I was just talking the other day how what we do right now is going to provide for us in like March.
Yes.
What we're doing right now will pay dividends in 4 to 5 months.
Exactly.
And, if we're sitting on our hands right now waiting for, oh, well, nothing's going on, we'll sit on our hands and wait for February. Man, it'd be so far behind.
Exactly. It's just like if you have a bill coming up, and if you sit around and wait to the very last moment in February to try to figure out what you're about to do, it's not going to be pretty for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all right with the slow play too. The slow play and getting people on board and getting people educated and knowing that anybody can have, or anyone can buy a home. You just have to know the proper steps. Right. So I'm okay with showcasing and letting them know exactly the proper steps to take. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to go down that route of being a financial coach and being a mortgage loan originator, just for the education purposes so I could tell my clients or my customers.
Yeah, no doubt that that's, those type of offerings, those multiple offerings just makes the whole process more complete for people, especially when it comes to real estate. Um, and one of the things I was going to say is that, um, when you're sitting here and you're trying to put that all together, it takes. I just had the conversation. When I have continual conversations with. I have these longtime clients. It's a husband and a wife, and they tried to buy a home a couple of years ago, and they come to find out really financially they weren't in a place where they could buy the home.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, they were given a plan of what they needed to do in order to buy a home. And it's going to take them about a year and a half to complete that plan. But I hear from this couple every couple of months saying, yep, we're still doing this, and this is what we did, and this is what we accomplished. And they're like, by the time April comes, we'll be ready to buy our home.
Beautiful.
And it's one of those things where they listen, they took the information, they did their research, and they know what their goal is. It's tough for some folks that just want to go to the end step
Yeah.
of buying a home,
Yeah.
and they get mad or frustrated because there's stuff in the way of that they need to take care of getting to that point.
But leading up to that point, and then when they finally get to that day when they do and are able to buy that home, they just learn so many things about themselves in that time period.
Yep.
Which is huge. It carries weight. It's
Yep.
not easy to do, but it can just kind of change your whole trajectory.
No, yeah, without it. I mean, and speaking of that, I mean, you and I know we look alike, but
Yes.
we're kind of we're kind of cut from the same cloth of the fact that we've done the shift work, we've done the 8-hour shift work or more, and
Yeah.
it wasn't enough. We were hungry for something else, something that a little bit more meaning, a little bit more drive, a little bit more motivation, and we just went out and did what we had to do in order to put that together. And I think if anybody's listening, that you're kind of in a rut or you're stuck. And I've talked about this before about being stuck. You almost you have to fling open that door, look over the cliff, and jump without the parachute. And it's scary as hell.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the more difficult decisions you'll make, especially if you're jumping out of comfortable. You're jumping out of that 9 to 5 or 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. or whatever it might be, Monday, 4 days a week or 5 days a week, and you're jumping into the unknown abyss of, there's no safety net there.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree. And one of the things that was the most powerful coming from you was when you told me about just getting your voice out there and getting yourself out there, because everyone's afraid of what they sound like. But what did you tell me? Do you remember what you told me about what you sound like on video?
I tell anyone that's jumping into social media marketing is, and I heard this from an influencer. I didn't make this up. I'm not going to take credit for it. But you sound like what you sound like. So
exactly. That was huge for me.
But people, when they're listening to us, know what we sound like, and they know what we look like, and they know if they're really close, they know what our mannerisms are. So it's throwing caution in the wind and just do it, because I just did, and I just did a marketing class for Next Home here locally, and that's what some of the agents were saying. Well, I don't like the way I look on camera, or I don't like the way I sound on camera. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's all. And I think we're touching a little bit of everything here today, but when we're talking about marketing and branding, it's, the stuff that I've learned from the influencers I've learned it from, it's just being you. Humans want to deal with humans, and I didn't make that up either, but humans want to deal with humans. They can smell salespersons coming a mile away, and they can smell scripts coming a mile away.
Yeah.
And I just had that conversation the other day too about scripts. There's some merit to them, but if you don't make it sound natural and make it sound like it came from you, and it's a script, and people are gonna be like, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The only scripts that are helpful are the ones that are coming from the pharmacist.
Right.
So it's like, if we're being real, we don't need scripts. It's genuine.
Yeah.
It's in us.
I think we work. If you're in these businesses, you work with some type of script per se, because it's what you know. So you're providing information, but you provide it so much that it's a reoccurring conversation. So it comes out, and it's almost a script, but it's the same information you're trying to provide to everyone.
Oh yes, you put your little touch on it.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Um, it's just like in real estate, the only script I really use is what I learned from Ricky Carruth of EXP, who does real estate coaching. And so I tell agents this all the time: memorize this line. Is there anything at all I can do for you today? Because that's really genuine, and it's not. You're trying to earn their business, but you're just trying to figure out if there's anything you can do. And it could be as simple as providing a referral to a mortgage lender, and that's it. They may or may not do business with you, but at least you did something.
Yeah, you're providing a service,
Right.
and that's human decency, and that's what humans want.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like, and I really kind of appreciate the fact of like Next Home that we do real estate for, embraces the, humans over houses.
Yeah.
And it's business to humans. It's humans over transactions, and not worrying how many transactions you close, because you see a lot of big real estate companies, and more power to them, but they put out there about how many transactions they've closed and how much GCI they've done in the last 6 months, and that's fine, and you should be proud of the work that you do, but it shouldn't be all about that.
I agree. It's about the human factor of like camaraderie too.
Right.
That's what I like about Next Home. It doesn't seem like you're competing, and it doesn't seem cutthroat. So
Right.
it seems like everyone's working with you. They want you to be better.
And here's what it transcends to is transcends to having relationships and friendships with the clients that you're working with, because a majority of my clients are still friends of mine to this day. Some of them good friends now, because of the service I provided. But you have that, you got to have that connection. You got to have that human to human connection to be able to make any business relationship work.
I agree, and especially with a transaction like a home.
Yeah.
It's like you're there during that big, stressful, and it could be intimate moment of making that decision to like, yes, you know what? I'm going to sign on the dotted line. I'm ready to be a homeowner, which is a smart thing to do, because a lot of people, I would say the majority, a high majority of the people, that is their biggest net worth, is their home.
Biggest asset to overall.
The biggest asset. So if you add up your net worth, your home, it could be at the end of the day when you pay off your home, it could be an extra couple $100,000 added to your asset as an asset.
Yep.
To your net worth.
I was just talking about this today too, is right now, if people that are on the fence of selling a home, or they've been on the fence this year, is to think about the equity they currently have. If you can cash in on that equity because you want to upsize, or maybe you want to downsize, but if you want to get into a nicer home, there's equity. Now the flip side of that, and the problem that the real estate business might have going forward, is home values have gone. I mean, we're 17 or 18% higher this year than we were last year.
Yeah.
So now we're eating away at that future equity. Eating away at the future equity. So now you have that sweet spot of selling your home if you need to sell it within 3 to 5 years of being there. But now if you're eating away at that equity because you paid $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 over list price, now you're 5, 7+ years of cashing in on equity because you got to catch up, because you added on, and it's just the nature of the market, unfortunately. If you want to get into that home you absolutely love, you got to be able to compete, because there's probably 10 other people that want it too.
You're right. And I was just talking about it the other day on my podcast. Disclosures are prerequisites. That buyers and sellers, they both need each other. So when the houses are selling, or when the market's great, the builders are there. So when the builders are there and they're building, they're only there because the market's great.
Right.
And their forecast is showing that, you know what, sellers are gonna be selling their home and trying to move into these new builds.
Yeah.
So they need each other. So we need that. When we do see that, we will let people know.
Yeah. Yep. It's in the financial markets, the real estate markets, it's all about how much information you have. And you should never have a lack of information.
I agree.
There's people that have gotten very good at selling their own homes. More power to them. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, you can sell your own house, knock yourself out. And I've told people that before. I'll tell you how to sell your house. You want to know how to sell your house on your own real estate agent? I'll tell you how to do it. But you also got to understand that you got to take in all the marketing, all the appointments, and negotiating your own deal, and so on. So it can be very challenging, even though people have gotten very good at it. And I think for the most part, when people appreciate the fact when you bring them value by providing them that information.
Yeah, it's free information that everyone should know, especially going to the biggest transaction, possibly the biggest transaction of your life.
Yep. What's your number one stock tip for 2021?
2021. It all depends on this COVID, because right now it's all COVID related stocks.
Right.
So I kind of just been relying on COVID stocks until it's probably going to be until the spring.
Yeah, easy. And I know that, it's like we talked about on the real estate end of things. I mean, things are going to be status quo unless there's a major interruption. If for some reason mortgage rates, and you can't always predict that, but if for some reason mortgage rates take off and they're 5-6%, that'll pop the bubble for the real estate industry.
Yeah.
But nothing that's going on in the financial industry has even remotely affected the real estate industry other than mortgage rates, and it's been in the right direction.
You're right. So how do we get more people willing to be investors when looking at their equity?
Yeah, it's I think it's putting them in front of the right people to get that information. I think that if somebody's on the fence of, do I sell my house or not because I have equity in it, I could take that equity, put it in a brand new home. I could take that equity, downsize, and then invest in something else. Do I take the equity in my home and do real estate investing? Yeah. That's always an option too. I think it's providing them the right information, showing even mortgage lender, be able to talk to them about it. That's if they want to buy or sell another, or if they want to buy another one. To mortgage lender to show them the numbers, because a lot of people are visual.
Yeah,
people are visual, or they just want to see the numbers.
Yeah, because if you can show them, especially if you can show them the detail that they're looking for,
right?
Even before they're looking for it, they'll understand.
Yep, absolutely.
And I'm thinking the bigger investor right now, they're probably most likely going to use some of their equity to buy a rental property.
Yeah.
Yep. And what's a good number, a good percentage that someone should have that's available, like equity that's available?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because I'm thinking around the lines of like 40%, 50%.
Probably. What you can look at too is when it comes to cashing in a home equity in your home, is the loan to value, because you're gonna have to refinance to be able to take out that equity.
Yeah.
So if you don't have
the rates are great right now.
Rates are great right now. So if you're at a 4, 5, 6% mortgage rate on your current home, the current mortgage rates, from what I've seen, have been wobbling around 3, maybe less.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about taking out a cash out refi to take advantage of that equity, but then you got to take into account what's the loan to value. Are they doing chances are the mortgage lender is not doing 100% loan to value. They're probably
No,
doing 80 or 90%.
about 80%, yes.
So that eats into the equity you're going to be able to take out. So like our homes where we live, we moved in with instant equity, and the home value is going up. We still have instant equity.
Yeah.
But in an older neighborhood, something that was built in the 40s and 50s, 60s, unless you've been there for 10, 15, 20 years, you probably don't have that amount of equity because the home values are lower, and it takes a longer period of time to gain that. So it's just the stuff that I've learned from a mortgage lender, and those people are the experts. People that we work with, those are the experts. They know where
Yeah. So moving forward, I would say that getting those types of people into the market and getting people that have never ever thought that it was possible for them to be in a home.
Right.
Because it is possible.
Absolutely.
There's all these programs like first time home buyers programs, but even if it's like conventional loans or FHA loans, VA loans, there's ways
Yep.
that you can get in for cheap.
Yeah, there's also because a lot of them, even the conventionals, you can get a conventional 3% down.
Yes.
You're gonna have to pay the mortgage insurance, but you can get a conventional 3% down.
You're right.
So like you said, there's always a way.
You can always refinance that mortgage insurance in the future.
Yep.
To lower your price.
Yep. Yeah, or pay it off at closing. I heard of other people paying it. If the mortgage company will let you, paying it off at closing, just so you can lower that mortgage payment.
You're right.
Yep. Well, Hugh, I think we've covered a little bit of everything like we always do here at the coffee table. I appreciate your insight. I think we brought everybody some great values, some insight on the current events that are affecting the real estate industry, the financial industry. But we're here between Hugh and I and the rest of our group at Next Home. We're always here to help out at any point. Reach out, send a DM, even leave a comment on this podcast. Share it with anybody that you might think would get any value out of it. That's how we're able to get our voice across and our information across. So, how do people find you on social media?
Say that again.
How do people find you on social media?
All right. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Hue, Hue Hanks, Hanks, or you can find me on Instagram as Big Business Moves.
Big Business Move.
Yeah, BIGBIZNESS Moves.
There you go. Follow Hugh. He puts out a lot of good financial information. So make sure you follow him on social media, and I'll make sure to have my REALA on.
REALA. Make your real estate agent lovable again. My REALA. I have a new one too coming soon too. Soon. My broker. Make your broker real estate origination kind again. It's coming.
It's coming. Buy the merch.
Buy the merch. Financial.
All right, we will talk at you later. And for everyone, we appreciate you listening in and watching on the At the Coffee Table podcast. Again, we try to pull up our chairs once a week and talk about anything and everything, and hopefully come up with a solution or two. Again, like, comment, and share if you would. And with that, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a great night.
Take care. Have a great night. Let us know what to talk about next.
There you go.
Thank you, Jay.
Yep, you're welcome.